Nick McCollum. I'm here to talk about the community pillars of the community plan that was rolled out about 3 weeks ago at the Brazil Public Library. So the community plan is a document, a working document that provides us a plan for the next 5 to 10 years. A lot of this stuff that's in this plan is things that are easily attainable in the next year, 6 months to a year. Some of the stuff is stuff that's already being worked on, but a lot of this stuff are things that our community says they want based off the surveys, and just some things that we felt that really needed to be in here to elevate us to the next level. So the four pillars of this plan are infrastructure, economic development, health and wellness, and community identity. And we've identified 4 leaders in the community to kind of chair these different pillars, and they will be responsible for building a working group to help them accomplish these goals. So we'll kind of jump right in here. Kind of what the plan's purpose is. So the purpose is to create a community-wide plan to create a clear, actionable roadmap for building a thriving, sustainable, and inclusive future for all residents. With a vision statement of Clay County will be a destination known for rich history, strong infrastructure, thriving local economy, and a robust sense of community, where positive growth and progress are embraced and celebrated by all. We have a mission statement that was created to enrich the lives of Clay County residents by fostering a collaborative, inclusive community that honors our history, promotes substantial growth, and enhances access to quality housing, healthcare, education, and recreation. So that's kind of the baseline of what this plan is trying to accomplish. This was signed off by the City of Brazil, the County Commissioners, Thrive West Central, the Clay County Chamber of Commerce, and all the other stakeholders in Clay County. So let's just jump right in here. The first pillar is infrastructure, and there was 4 main things that we're really trying to accomplish with the infrastructure plan. We have a lot of crossroads that come through Clay County. We've got 59 and 40 kind of intersecting right in our hub, right in the center. And then, we've got 246 and 59 that intersect in Clay City, 42 and 59 that intersect out by the interstate, I-70. So we've got a lot of intersecting main highways and things like that. So there's a lot of traffic. So kind of the 4 main things this pillar is trying to accomplish is connectivity. So we want a well-developed infrastructure that enhances mobility and access, allowing residents to efficiently reach job, services, and recreational opportunities. So we don't want people to not move to Clay County, not do business in Clay County because they can't get connected. They can't get here. Economic vitality. Reliable infrastructure attracts businesses and investors, facilitating commerce and boosting local economies. Public health and safety. Adequate infrastructure ensures access to clean water, waste management, and emergency services, which are fundamental to community well-being. And sustainability. Investing in modern, resilient infrastructure promotes environmental stability and supports long-term community goals. So to accomplish these 4 things, we have identified multiple different strategies that kind of go along with this infrastructure plan. And the first one of these, the first set of strategies is focused on transportation. So the first strategy we want to kind of take on is accommodate multiple modes of transportation. Right now, we have sidewalks. We don't have sidewalks connecting all parts of Clay County. We don't have bike trails that connect parts of Clay County. We do have finally a bus service that's reaching parts of Clay County, but we'd like to expand upon that and make sure that all of our residents have the ability to reach the places they need to reach. The next strategy in that in this focus of transportation is improve sidewalks through county grant programs. Again, just going back to just making sure everybody's connected and has an equal opportunity. The next focus in infrastructure is housing. Housing, the couple strategies are enhance the character of existing residential areas. So just bring up those areas that we already have. So we don't necessarily need to build a ton of new housing. That's obviously part of it. But we have a lot of residential areas that could use some TLC, could use some love, and just bring them kind of back to a desirable area. We want to continue our partnership with Thrive West Central to continue the Homes of the Future initiative in Clay County. So you've seen these projects from Timberland, building the efficiency apartments. They're on the corner of Central Avenue and Depot Street. You've seen the housing project going on in Staunton, building affordable housing out in Staunton. That's a very desirable area. We just want to continue that partnership with Thrive West Central so we can ensure that Clay County is getting those dollars that we deserve. And then we need to promote more mixed-use housing development for all income levels. So we don't want to build a bunch of $300,000 and $400,000 homes that nobody can afford. Clay County is not a wealthy county, but we're a resourceful county. So we need to build more multi-use housing where there can be some multifamily housing, there can be some low-income housing, and we just need to continue to promote that and make sure that we are making Clay County a place where people want to do those kinds of things. Utilities, Clay County has done a really good job of keeping up their utilities. I don't feel like we're behind the 8 ball on that, but we always need to make sure we're giving these rural areas access to water and sewer. Well and septic is very expensive to put in. It can be expensive to maintain. So we need to make sure that these rural areas have access to water and sewer if they so choose. And then the last strategy here in utilities is just continue to expand our broadband access and make sure that it's offered to underserved areas. So we're seeing this every school corporation. All these kids have laptops now. A lot of learning is being done over the internet. We just need to make sure that we're giving our young people the access to the broadband and Wi-Fi and things like that so that they can continue to learn. We never want somebody to not move to Clay County or not do business in Clay County because they can't get internet. So just continuing to work with our local providers and making sure that the money is there to do that. And our county has done a great job of investing in broadband, partnering with Joink to continue that process. Our next pillar here is economic development, and I think this is one of my favorite pillars of the plan, because I think this is something that Clay County has really struggled with as long as I can remember. So we are home to a lot of really great manufacturers: Great Dane, PDF, Technifab, who's recently been sold to Crane, Morris Manufacturing, ADS. The list goes on and on. How do we get more of that? How do we get more of those good manufacturing jobs and economic development, other businesses to come to Brazil to do business, or Clay County, not just Brazil? So the 4 kind of main topics that we're looking at here are job creation. A strong economy generates employment opportunities. That's a given. We want to make sure that our citizens are able to get the jobs they need to transact business in our county, buy houses, buy cars, go to our local mercantile stores, restaurants, and spend money. We can't do that unless we have a thriving economy. Business growth. On top of bringing in new businesses, we want to support our local businesses to continue to grow. Clay County has always been a very entrepreneurial county. There's a lot of small business in Clay County. And I just think that we need to continue to foster that want to do business in Clay County. Indiana is already a very business-friendly state. Clay County is a very tax-friendly county. So we just need to make sure we're continuing to invest in resources to keep that want. Quality of life. Economic vitality enhances public service, infrastructure, and recreational opportunities, enriching the lives of our residents. So by growing our economy, by making sure that we're investing back in our community, these recreation items, the infrastructure, things like that, all that's going to get better because of just the economy is going to be a lot bigger. The tax base is going to be a lot bigger. The county will be able to invest back into the community. Businesses will be able to invest back into the community. This can't all be public money that's going in to accomplish these things. Some of these things are going to have to require private dollars. Businesses, individuals, community members, community groups stepping up and doing things to make our county great. Resilience. So the more diverse we can make our economy in Clay County, the more we can make sure we have long-term sustainability. We obviously don't want to have our county be made up of all the same industry, because if that industry experiences a downfall, a turn back, whatever you want to call it, it could be detrimental to our community. So making sure that we're investing in multiple different areas of focus and not just focusing all on one sector is key moving forward. Much like with infrastructure, there's a few strategies here that we're going to try to invest in, and underneath each one of these strategies, this plan lays out different action items, and I'm not going to go into that. We went into that in detail during the launching meeting, but I think the strategies are important to at least hit on. So the first strategy here is identify and secure dedicated funding sources for the county. So we've done a very good job. Clay County's done a very good job of keeping property taxes at a very manageable level. I do believe there was an article that came out earlier this year that rated Clay County as the #1 county in the state, if not top 10 in the nation, for value of tax dollars versus what you get in the county. So our county leaders are doing a very good job of making sure that our tax dollars are going to use in ways that we're going to reap those benefits, and we're not paying more taxes than we should. This isn't Indianapolis. We're never going to be Indianapolis. We don't want to be Indianapolis. So our commissioners, our council, our city council, our mayor, everybody's done a great job of making sure that our tax dollars are being used efficiently and effectively to continue to keep that tax level down. Strategy 2 is something that is very near and dear to my heart, being on the board of the chamber and a past president of the chamber. We need to strengthen the capacity to establish a full-time chamber of commerce. So you look at all these areas, all these communities around us that are thriving. Owen County has a full-time chamber of commerce, and they actually pair their chamber of commerce and their economic development corporation. It's all one entity, and they have multiple full-time staff with a full-time executive director. Terre Haute has a full-time chamber of commerce with a full-time economic development area. Sullivan, full-time chamber of commerce. You look at all these areas, all these communities that are really starting to grow and thrive. It kind of leads back to having a full-time chamber. We have a part-time chamber. We have a part-time executive director, Shalina Shear. Shalina is paid part-time, but works full-time chamber. We have a very energetic board of directors, but it's a volunteer organization right now. So I think this is extremely important for the growth of Clay County, for the future of Clay County, to really pour resources into developing a full-time chamber that has an economic development arm. Expand workforce development opportunities. We're fortunate to already have a very good relationship with Work One and Clay Community Schools to continue to develop these development opportunities, workforce development opportunities. Not every student's going to go to college. Some of them are going to go right into the workforce. And that's fine. That's perfectly fine. But we need to continue to make sure we're working to develop our workforce so that they stay in Clay County. We don't want to pour resources into them for them to have to go somewhere else to further their career. So just continuing to invest dollars, energy, efforts into that. The Chamber has done a really good job with this. Brooke Reinl has done a good job with our Youth and Education Committee and really working with the school corporation to develop fun, new ways of introducing our students to the workforce. So more to come on that, obviously, as that partnership continues to grow. Child care, as a parent of one, soon to be two children, child care is our biggest expense each month. And unfortunately, in Clay County, there's not a lot of options. There's a lot of daycare, but there's not a lot of options. A lot of daycares are full. So continuing to work with the powers that be, the leaders in that space, to continue to develop our child care options. We're fortunate in Brazil to have kind of three big ones, and then there's a lot of smaller ones that operate out of their house, which are needed. But again, that's a lot of households' biggest expense is childcare next to their mortgage. So how do we continue to grow that, make it affordable, and make it available to everyone? We are sitting on a gold mine out at I-70 and 59, just with what is going on in Terre Haute with the casino. You look at our neighbors, if you go further east in Cloverdale, they've got a great, you get off the exit there and there's a lot going on. How do we develop our kind of area there out at 59 and 70 to get people to stop? Brazil's a great town, and there's a lot of things to do in Brazil, and there's a lot of things to do in Clay City. But if we can't get people off the interstate and attract them and get them to go north or south, then we're never going to capitalize on that. And with the casino in Terre Haute, there's a lot of traffic at that intersection, a ton of traffic. So I would love to see the NDOT numbers on the amount of cars that pass the 59 Brazil exit every day. I would never even guess, because I think it's way more than what I would even guess. But we're missing out on a lot of opportunities to kind of make that a gateway to Clay County. Come off the interstate if you want to go check out Clay City. Go south. If you want to go check out Brazil, go north. Our communities have a lot to offer, and we just don't get them in because there's nothing there at the interstate that's really pulling them off the interstate to stop. All right, so our next pillar here is the health and wellness pillar. And again, like all these other ones, there's kind of four main priorities that we're trying to accomplish, kind of overreaching ideas here. The first one being community health. Promoting health and wellness initiatives can lead to reduced healthcare costs, lower rates of chronic disease, and an overall healthier population. I can speak firsthand that the health insurance is a struggle for a lot of businesses, especially small businesses. For instance, my small business, health insurance is our biggest expense next to payroll. So just continuing to make sure that we're offering these healthy initiatives for our community, things like that. Quality of life, access to recreational spaces and activities, so we can continue to enhance living in Clay County. Mental health well-being, prioritizing mental health and community programs and resources, just so we can make sure we're enhancing our overall experience. And then social cohesion, making sure that our recreation and wellness activities encourage community engagement and strengthen social ties, and continuing to build a sense of belonging among our residents. The first strategy under the health and wellness, so health and wellness is broken up into health and wellness and then recreation. So the first focus is health and wellness. We want to make sure that we increase our access to preventative health services. We're very fortunate to have a lot of very good providers in Clay County, and we're extremely fortunate to have a hospital. Not a lot of our communities not a lot of communities, rural communities, have a hospital, and we have access to a great hospital with Ascension Clay, and then obviously we're not far from Terre Haute Union Regional. And we can get to Indianapolis if we need to, but at the core, Clay County has very, very good health providers. There's a lot of things that you can get done in Clay County that a lot of people didn't even realize. I know with a conversation with Pam out at Clay St. Vincent or Ascension, the amount of services they offer out there is incredible, and a lot of things that I've driven to Terre Haute or Indy for, I could have had done in Clay County. So continuing to make sure our citizens are aware of that is important. Promote healthy eating and nutrition. We have a lot of farmers in Clay County, a lot of small family farms, encouraging them to set up farmers markets and give our citizens access to locally grown, safe fruits, vegetables, meats, things like that. Is important. Not a lot of people have the time, the energy, the area to grow that stuff. I know I don't have the time to put out a big garden, and so we rely heavily on farmers markets to get our fruits and vegetables, and I don't have area to put a cow and chickens and things like that. So my family tries to eat locally grown meats and fruits and vegetables, and stay away from the stuff that's at the big grocery stores and things like that. But if there's not a lot of it, sometimes it's inevitable. Expand physical activity opportunities. So this kind of goes back to some of the stuff in the infrastructure plan of investing in new walking, biking trails, playgrounds, fitness stations, work with our employers to implement workplace wellness programs, things like that that are easy to do, that don't cost a lot of money, that could really make a huge difference. Strengthen public health infrastructure. I think it's important to make sure all of our public health entities are working together towards common goals. We want to make sure that areas that are supposed to be smoke-free or smoke-free, areas that are supposed to be pet-friendly or pet-friendly, and making sure that we're working with our local entities and public health areas to ensure those things are happening. One of the action items, and I think it's important to point out this is a particular action item because I think we're seeing this happening a lot, is implementing soda tax incentives. So if we're taxing soda at a higher rate, people probably aren't going to buy as much soda. Putting restrictions on fast food outlets near schools. We don't really have that problem. I mean, obviously there's a lot of fast food across the street from East Side, but that's never going to change. Our students aren't allowed to leave school to go get lunch, so this isn't as big a deal in Clay County, but we just want to make sure that we're setting good examples for our young people and making sure that we're creating healthy lifestyles early on, so that you don't get like me and need to lose 25, 30 pounds when it's not as easy to lose 25 or 30 pounds. Again, support healthy aging for our seniors. We want to make sure that we're providing the areas and facilities for our seniors to continue to live out their retirement years, maybe their older years in Clay County. A lot of these people have lived in Clay County their entire life. They never want to see themselves leaving Clay County, and maybe that could be a deterrent from getting the help that they need because they don't want to have to go to Terre Haute or Indianapolis to have the assisted living. We're fortunate to have 2 or 3 really, really good senior facilities in Clay County, and just continuing to partner with them and make sure that we're offering all the resources and infrastructure they need to continue to grow and thrive. The last focus on this pillar is recreation. Our community is very, very, very fortunate to have a YMCA. Our YMCA is very integral in our community. It's been a very big part of our community for a very long time. And a lot of people maybe don't know that Clay County YMCA is kind of the hub for the Terre Haute Y and the Greencastle Y. So, how do we continue to play on that to make sure, and we're very fortunate that our chair of the health and wellness pillar is Kaylee Maffioli and her team at the YMCA. So YMCA is going to be a huge part of Clay County moving forward. And the things that they have to offer from a child care standpoint, you could probably plug the Y into each one of these pillars, and they probably check a box. But anyway, moving on. The first strategy kind of under the recreation space is establish a county park board to develop comprehensive park master plan. We have a lot of great parks in Clay County. Forest Park is a phenomenal park. Craig Park, phenomenal park. You've got Harmony Park, you've got a park in Knightsville, but kind of all those different entities I don't want to say they fight against each other, but they don't work cohesively together. Each one of those different parks has a different entity that kind of oversees them, but there's not one common kind of umbrella over the top of them. And maybe that's a way we can get our parks together without having to build new parks. Obviously, it'd be awesome to be able to build a new park in Clay City, in Carbon, in Knightsville, in Harmony, in Brazil. That takes a lot of money. So this is a way we can kind of get everybody on the same page without breaking the bank. You've heard me mention trails multiple times. I think it shows up in a few different of these pillars, but create a county-wide trail system, connect to regional networks. So you've got trails in Vigo County that we don't connect to. It'd be nice if people could ride a bike from Clay County to Vigo County and not really ever have to be on a main highway. So we've got a working group already kind of working on bike trails. It's working with the commissioners, it's working with the county to utilize some of these old rail systems and railroads as trails. Dr. Craig Johnson has really kind of taken that under his wing and expanding that and working very diligently on that. But not just bike trails. We're talking walking trails, green spaces, things like that. Just things for people to get out and do recreation. I know when I walk up and down 59 and am almost terrified of getting hit by a semi or something like that. If I had a trail I could drive to and walk, it would be a lot safer. So expand and enhance community gathering spaces. There's not a lot of outside places other than Forest Park where you can come and have a reunion, have a get together, just have a conversation. We've got Forest Park. There's a shelter at Craig Park. Obviously, there's some things in Harmony and Knightsville and Clay City, but there's not a lot of just green spaces, community areas in Clay County. I think one of the biggest challenges right now in Clay County is there's not a lot of places for people to have a baby shower, have a wedding reception, things like that. So continuing to develop those areas to be more community friendly, more recreation friendly, and then increase access to recreational programs and facilities. We need to partner with the organizations that we already have in Clay County, the YMCA and School Corporation, to continue to increase access to those areas, so that they're here for many more years to come, and that all of our community has access to them. We never want to let somebody not be involved with something because they can't afford it or they don't have access to it. They can't get transportation to it. So that's our health, wellness, and recreation pillar. The last pillar is community identity, and this pillar is one that the Chamber of Commerce is going to kind of own this pillar, along with Brazil Main Street. So if you look at this pillar, this kind of talks about what are we doing to kind of give Clay County this identity. So when I come into Owen County, I have an office in Spencer, so I'm in Owen County every day. I come into Owen County. Owen County has an identity. Now they have something we don't. They have a courthouse square. I wish Brazil had a courthouse square, or Clay County had a courthouse square, but we don't. But you know what their identity is when you enter and when you leave. When you come into Clay City, you know what their identity is when you enter and when you leave. Clay County is missing that. So the four areas here that we're working on are a sense of belonging, civic engagement, cultural promotion, and collaboration. So just continuing to collaborate with public and private entities. The first strategy is build a distinct community brand for Clay County. The chamber has tried this a couple times to kind of start this, and it never really took off. A few years ago, we tried the hashtag brag on Clay County, and it didn't take off. It was kind of coming out of COVID. This wasn't a lot of buy-in for it, but we need to develop a brand for Clay County that can be recreated in different spaces, whether that be the entrances into Clay County, the counties that surround us as you're coming in on those main thoroughfares, having signage, having welcome, having wayfinders, things like that to lead you into the county. Promote local events and festivals. We're kind of, Clay County, southern Indiana is the mecca of festivals and local events. We need to establish a centralized way to communicate when those are, who's in charge of them, what's happening, what you should expect, things like that. And the chamber's has been working on that for a while, to kind of develop a community calendar. I think is really what this is looking for. So, implement a countywide marketing and communication strategy, enhance county gateways, create a positive first impression. If you come into Clay County from Vigo County, the only way you know you're in Clay County is when you see the green sign that says enter Clay County, leave Vigo County. When you come into Clay County from Owen County, there's no signage that says welcome to Clay County, here's what we're known for, here's what you should expect. There's no brand. So creating that, improve streetscapes and commercial districts, establish a welcome center for residents and visitors. I really think this could be big, but right now I think this is the last piece of the puzzle. We've got to develop everything else first, get everything else going first, and then do this welcome center. We've got to have the welcome center's got to be able to provide something of value. And right now, what do we have of value in Clay County? We have a lot of value in Clay County, but what do we have to point people to? And so I think a welcome center is a little premature right now, but if this plan works out, that will be very important moving forward. So the last couple pieces here, the implementation of this plan. I have the plan right here. It's about 40 pages long. It's a very good document. But who's gonna lead this charge? And after kind of talking to all the stakeholders, and we had 2 years, year and a half worth of meetings to kind of create this document, and it was decided that really the organization that has the overreaching ability to kind of implement this is the Chamber of Commerce. So the Clay County Chamber of Commerce is going to serve as the lead organization driving the implementation of the plan. We're going to act as the coordinating body. We already have the established relationships with public and private sector. The chamber is a non-political organization, so we have the buy-in from the community, and I think we have the resources to really track the progress and put everybody at the table, along with Brooke Reinl. Brooke has been instrumental in kind of helping launch this. So myself and Brooke and Michelle and Shalina are kind of really leading the overseeing efforts of this community plan. There's going to be quarterly check-ins with all the stakeholders. the important thing is going to be make sure we keep this front of mind. This can't be a document that sits on the shelf and 10 years from now we look at it and we blow the dust off of it and we say, well, that was cool to put together, but nothing got accomplished. So I think we're starting to already see the energy kind of build behind it from the community and from the stakeholders in the community. It's just continuing to make sure that we don't let this thing sit on a shelf and collect dust. So that's kind of a general overview of the plan. If you have any questions, concerns, want to get involved, feel free to reach out to myself. I'll have my email will be on the end of this webinar along with my contact information. Feel free to reach out. Let me know if you have any questions. If not, I really appreciate your time and look forward to continuing to grow Clay County with you. Thanks.